you're going to need for this easy to do, very visual, magical, and fun magic trick. You're going to need a few things. First, you're going to need the beautiful rope. The beautiful rope I've included along with this DVD. You're also going to need some tape. Now, you know, masking tape, fine. The white gauzy medical tape that they often sell, where they sell Band-Aids in the drugstore, fine. Black vinyl, white vinyl electrical tape, fine. And my personal favorite, because I think it is the stickiest of all, is a duct tape. It's not always easy to find the white duct tape. But notice, if instead of white duct tape, you happen to use yellow, or heck, even red. Over the years, I've used it all in a pinch in different situations, and it all works just fine as the tip to a magic wand, okay? I mean, yes, traditionally white. I do prefer white. At the same time, I think if you went with, other colors, as long as they weren't too dark, I think you'd be fine. I mean, it's a magic wand. It's something mysterious and magical. You might even decide, hey, I don't want mine to look, I want the black, because that's traditional, but since I've got so much of the traditional element locked here visually, the thickness, the roundness, the blackness, I want to have something distinctive and different on the end. So it's totally up to you. But don't feel you have to go out and find the perfectly white tape. One of the problems with that is you're going to find after 5, 10, 20 performances that your white tape starts to look less white. It's going to look more like cream. It may even start to look like a light gray, all those performances. All those kids handling it. So don't get too caught up on exactly the hue of the white tape. I'm going to give you the lengths you're going to need to cut in just a moment. And remember the old adage, measure twice, cut once, okay? And if you're a very young person, definitely have your parents help with the preparation of the ropes. I would hate for you to cut them the wrong size, run into problems, and not have enough rope actually to put the whole thing together. I really don't. So have your parents help if you're a young person. Now, cutting the rope. Heavy pair of scissors is good. An X-Acto packing knife, a razor blade kind of thing, is very good too, but you've got to be careful. Go slowly, okay? Now, once you've cut the ends, what I suggest you do, you don't have to, but what I suggest you do is get a lighter. And if you hold the end of the rope, not with the tape here, but if you hold once you cut it, before you put the tape on, if you hold the end and you wave a lighter over the ends, okay, just wave it over the end, what it does with this really, this is super high quality rope. It's nylon based, deliberately, rather than cotton, so that when you burn the edges, you'll find that the frayed edges nicely fuse together, okay? The whole thing fuses nicely together, so it'll really hold exactly where you cut, and it won't fray or unravel, even without the tape. The tape definitely helps. But you'll find even without the tape, the stuff would still very much, all the loose ends come in nicely when you wave a lighter over there, okay? So you cut, then lighter, and then finally put the tape around the ends. And really press the tape on, okay? I find I replace the tape, like I almost said, every 10, 20 shows I tend to replace the tape. Doesn't take very long, probably takes me 2 minutes to cut and wrap and really press it on there. Because kids are going to be handling these, and kids, you know, they've got sticky birthday cake fingers, maybe they've got, I don't know, mud from the street. You never know, okay? This is the joy and the scourge of children. They're sticky, messy people. That's, no small part of what makes it, I think, so wonderful and joyful. Now, the lengths. The lengths. This is a personal decision to some degree. I am going to suggest for you the short one, 7 inches. 7 inches from one tip to the other, okay? The medium one, 11. A nice 11-inch. I mean, talk about, look at, pretty much the length of a classic magic wand, that one. And then you get the slightly longer, crazy one, is 18. So 7, 11, and 18. The basic handling involves showing the 3 ropes, all right? Showing the one's short, one's medium, one's long. Then you gather up the ropes and you pull, and it's a beautiful optical, it's not an optical illusion. I mean, I guess it's an optical illusion of sorts. Beautiful visual illusion of stretching all the ropes so they're the same length. 1, 2, and 3 lengths, okay? And then with just a shake, they go back. There's so much that's cool about this, including the fact that the kids can handle the ropes before and after the effect, which is really cool. This is the kind of effect that can play for 3 kids, or I've done this in front of 100 people, as long as you show it up, so it's really flexible, it can do a lot of things. Now, I'm not going to touch on any of the presentational ideas right here. I'm going to do that in the next section. Just want to keep it really clean and focus on the basic handling of the illusion is this, all right? Basic handling. you introduce the rope in whatever way suits you. We're going to talk about that a lot. You got the short, okay? You got the medium, and you've got the long. The 3 ropes. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to turn around here actually and do this all because I want you to be able to see this all, the old over-the-shoulder perspective. Let me bring this in a little bit here, like this, and here we are. So, I have the short, I have the medium, and I have the long, all 3. And I've got them positioned in my left hand, and I've got them as far as I can, sort of into the crotch of the thumb. Okay, as far as I can to the crotch of the thumb. Having shown them, I put them all together, and while I'm presenting and having fun with the kids, I bring the end of the short rope, okay, up and put it right beside there. So now that's the end of the short, and that's the end of the short. Very clear, okay? Then I grab the end of the medium rope here, and I put that in the next position to the right. Okay, so that goes to the next position to the right. And finally, I bring the very end of the long piece. Okay, I'm going to bring that up and put it to the furthest to the right. So now I have all 6. I've got the end of the short, the medium, the long, okay? And then this is in fact the short, the medium, and the long again. So I've got them all stacked up there. And what I'm going to do to create the illusion of the stretch is I'm going to grab these 2 and that one. So the long, the medium, skip this one and grab that one there. 1, 2, and 3. Those are the 3 ropes. So the left hand is going to hold on to those 3. The right hand is going to hold on to those 3. Now, the illusion is absolutely perfect. Okay, I've got my 3 in my left, got my 3 in my right. And now, and I really like to exaggerate this with kids. I mean, kids love large physical actions. So I do really lean in, and I talk about having maybe not got to the gym recently, and this is hard, and I shake, 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 and I shake, 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 and I pull, pull, pull. And what you'll find, the illusion is wonderful, is as you pull them apart, the 3 ropes, because of the lengths of the ropes, because of the length of the medium, and I mean, basically what you have here, the exposed view, is you'll find that I've got the short one, of course, is doubled up. It's doubled up. The short and the bent over long, the 2 together, are the exact same length as the medium rope. So you have this beautiful illusion of pulling all 3, you stop, and there. Now, you do not have to do what I'm about to show you, this next little handling, but it is a nice convincer. It's the traditional way most experienced performers will perform the professor's nightmare, okay? So, what you do is you come over and you're going to now show them one at a time. And so you show, and you grab the middle one, you grab the medium length one, let me do this, and I move forward with it. I show one. Now, I don't want to hold it just between thumb and finger, because that's going to look suspicious in a moment when I hold things in a slightly more cupped hand way. So with my full hands are wrapped around that, I show one, okay? Now I'm going to come over, I'm going to leave this one behind here, grab the other 2, and scooch them past as I come over and there and show as if I have a second one. The idea is to get the illusion that I've taken one, I come over, take a second one, but actually this is the one that's looped over, okay? Leaving that one behind, and then only now, on the 3rd take, will I grab, not the white part, but just below, and pull it out and show it a little bit more fairy, all right? So altogether, it looks like this. Looks like I'm showing 1 rope, come over here, just switch 2 ropes, and come over here, and 3. Don't make a big deal of it. Don't get caught up thinking that you're trying to perfect it and keep it as clean and neat as your Elmsley count. Okay, it's not card magic, it's not coin magic. It's large actions you're performing for kids. What matters is the flow and the confidence with which you do the move. So 1, and I usually do it, and as I do it, I'm moving around the space, right? You're always, and there's so many tips I could give you about performing in larger spaces, but basically, you want to make sure you're always playing to the back of the room. Okay, I go down and connect with a kid, connect with a kid, connect with a kid, and then I'm up, and I'm playing the bunch, and then I'm connecting down here by my feet, hopefully to keep him or her from not walking right on my shoes, down here like this with a friendly smile, and then I'm back up here, okay? So here I want to make sure that this is playing as large as possible as I show to everybody, and you can do this, come over here as you're moving across, do your switch, do that, and then finish up in the middle, okay? Or you could play each to everybody in the room, right? You can do 1 here like this, come over here, drop it off, grab the other 2, grab the other 2 here, and then finally this one like this. All right? So, we have shown them short, medium, long. We have then stretched them. Then we've counted them kind of to show that all three are in fact truly, the visuals are perfect, okay? Then to finish is what we want to do. There's a bunch of different hands. I like a simple shake. I do like that. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to grab the ropes and give them a shake. And what I want to grab is I'm going to show you here. In my hand, I'm kind of going to reverse the actions I initially did here. I want to give a shake. So I come here and I grab the ends. I'm going to put the, what I want it to look like is I grab the ends of the rope here, put them up, and then give a shake, and they all immediately go back to their sizes. And it's very easy to do, because what I'm going to do is I go up. I'm going to make sure that I want to leave them dangling with I want to grab the long, the medium, and the short. So all I have to do is bring one end of the long up, grab it, let loose of one end of the long, okay, grab it, bring it up, loosen my grip on that, the short end of that, and give everything a shake. And you have this beautiful visual. Now again, I don't present this to kids as if it's an absolute miracle. That's not my approach to children's magic. My approach to children's magic is, here we are together, let's have some fun with some tricks. So for me, it's not magic, it's tricks. And I find that attitude is much more welcoming. Because, of course, kids of a certain age, typically between the ages of, I'd say, depending on the kid, 8 to 14, will challenge you. And if you present it as a challenge, they're going to come at you. It's going to slow down and people are not going to have as much fun, all that stuff. So, here, I've got my short, I've got my medium, I've got my long, I've just done my stretch. Sorry, let me get myself set up here. I've got my long piece, I've got my short piece. Make sure that's doubled up. I'm in this position, here and here and here. I'm here, basically like this. Maybe I've just counted them, maybe I haven't, okay, but I'm here. I've got mine. And all three are looking very similar lengths, right? So as I said, I'm just going to give it a shake. Now you can do it, you can practice and try to do it one-handed, but I find it easier. Just grab one end of the long. As your thumb and finger are going to loosen one end of the short. That's all it is. Put this up here and give a boom, a shake. And it really is a very pretty moment of magic, okay? It leaves something to the imagination, which is what I think is so important with magic in general, and especially with kids' magic. And of course, in this position now, you can, you can even say, but you pull the short, hand that to some kid, the medium, put that to the other, and the long, give it to somebody else. I don't want to forget to mention these important points here. Handing stuff out to kids is always an issue. You got to be careful, okay? The further away it is from you, the less likely, the more work it could be to get it back, okay? But keep in mind, and this is something I think the great magicians, or the great stage magicians of 200 years ago understood. As soon as you hand something to somebody, it can be somebody on stage, someone in front, as soon as you give it to them, it immediately becomes totally examined and ordinary by everybody. Psychologically, as soon as you give it to somebody, and it's almost as if the person up in the third row in the balcony is thinking, well, if that guy way down there, if he can look at this, then I could have looked at it too and it would have been fine. So it's not like you have to make sure each child really pulls and tugs and makes a big deal of it, but just in the handing out, you immediately make all the ropes, you immediately convince everybody of their ordinariness, of their ordinaryability, no, of how ordinary they are. So there you have it. The basic handling to the Professor's Nightmare. One of the many things I love about the Professor's Nightmare is it's such a simple trick. And it's such a, I mean, what's the effect? You have 3 wands, well, 3 pieces of rope, but I'm going to stick to the wand. That's my presentation around this whole thing. So you have 3 wands. The 3 wands are stretched, and then the 3 wands return to their original size, and you can hand them out. What a simple idea. So I have used the Professor's Nightmare in many contexts over the years, with the black rope and sometimes without. On a trade show floor, for example. For many years I worked for a company and I would talk about their investment portfolio. They were a financial management company, and I would talk about the different kinds, and I wouldn't go into too much language around it, but just a few key points. And use the fact that you've got 3 different lengths and then they're all the same, and then back to that. Use that as a metaphor for investment planning. You can use it for so many different kinds of things, which is one of the things I love about the trick. So in this case, to me the presentation is very simple. I'm with the kids. And again, it changes every performance when I perform for kids. But usually the way I get into it is I'm doing a simple trick for someone, maybe even just a coin vanish for a kid. And I say, this is going to be very hard, but do not worry. And I reach into my case, I say, I have got the world's most powerful magic wand. How many people here? Round of applause. Who wants to see the world's most powerful? Anybody? You're sure? It doesn't sound like you're... Oh, come on. If you really want to see it, I want to hear it. And they make a big loud sound. Here it is, the world's most powerful magic wand. There it is right there. Look at that. I know, it's kind of scary, kind of awesome. And of course, they're laughing. They can tell it's a joke. That obviously, this is not the world's most powerful magic wand. You're not too impressed. This maybe a little small, maybe not so much a magic wand, but as a secret disguise. How about that? Is it a bit of a secret disguise, but you're not impressed? I was joking. I know this isn't the world's most powerful wand. I know that for a fact. In fact, and then I secretly I go, that's because this is the world's most powerful. No, and no. You guys are very hard to impress here. Well, luckily, those two are just a joke. They're just a joke. No joke now. I truly have the world's most powerful magic wand, and here it is, right there. There it is, the word. And again, and by now, of course, they know this whole thing's a gag. It's a joke. And I'll hand them out sometimes and say, here you go, that's pretty... Well, I mean, you're saying the wand's not that powerful, but how about you? Are you guys... Are you powerful? Janine, are you powerful? You're a powerful woman? You look like a powerful girl. Here, see if you can pull on that. So I have a few kids pull on these to show me how strong they are. So I go from... strong wands, powerful, to how strong are you, and all the while when I'm trying to, of course, have fun and verify to everybody that the ropes are ordinary ropes. Okay, so I've been able to do that. And rather than introduce all three at once, I sort of build a laugh and build a laugh and build a laugh. Okay, so these are all coming out of my case, and I usually throw them on my table, and I'm talking to kids, and again, something funny comes up, I go with that. Then I go into the sort of the little bit of the story. I'm not a big fan of long stories for kids, because stories, if it's a story with a beginning, middle, and end, if it goes on for even 2 minutes, they have to sit still for that. Or you get interrupted, have to come back and repeat yourself, people lose the thread of what you're saying. So I know some children's performers are big on the story thing, and I've seen guys use it, or women and men performers use it to try to control the kids. And in a classroom setting where you have a teacher, and I've done kid shows in classrooms, I find they can be controlled or really supported to help enjoy the experience, their attention spans and things, more effectively than a kid's birthday party, particularly in an outdoor situation at a picnic. Or when it's outdoors and there's noise and sunshine, oh, you know it, it's challenging. So I'm not a big storyteller with my magic for kids, but here I do a little bit of a story, and I sort of present it as a bit of an aside, I sort of go, well, actually, let me ask you, and I sort of say, well, how many people here think this is the most powerful magic wand? How about this one? Yeah, I know it's hard to say because sometimes you're thinking, well, they say good things come in small packages. And so this is small and powerful. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. But then you're thinking, well, what about there's an old, I don't know if you guys ever heard it, but all things in moderation, kind of balance things. Not big or not small, but in the middle. That's the power. And then, of course, a lot of people think, heck with all that, huh? No. The bigger the wand, the more powerful it is. I know, guys, I know. And believe me, when I present this, and you'll see adults chatting a little bit, or there's the guy who's had a couple of drinks, he's guffawing in the corner, so you get a bit of that too, which I don't mind, okay? I'll add to it. I try to make sure that even with a kid show, or not even, but especially with a kid show, there's something for the adults, and there's something for the kids. You want layers. It's nice if it can go that way. Anyway, so I'm talking to kids. How many people think, and as I'm doing, I'm setting this in my hand. I got the short, I've got the medium, and I've got the long, right? All like this. And I said, well, once upon a time, there were three magicians. And each was convinced that his and her, because one of the magicians was a woman, of course, each were convinced that his and her wand was the most powerful. They were. Oh, yeah, they really were. And then, of course, when they started disagreeing, no, my short wand, and no, my long, they got a bit grabby. And you know how you're not supposed to get grabby, right? You're not supposed to grab things. You have to ask, but they got a bit grabby. They each wanted to examine and look at each other's wands. And so what happened was the wands got all tangled up. And so when they started to grab them and started to pulling, the weirdest thing happened. Look at this. Look. They got so caught up talking about whose wand was more powerful that in the end, they didn't break the wands, but they stretched them to the point where all three were about the same length. And I show that to people. So that's how I get into that point. First from the kids, which wand, then to the story of the three magicians, about which of this, and I say, but luckily, because they were magic, all they had to do was snap their fingers, and they were left, and of course, so all I'm doing here is I've got my three, and like we know, I'm going to let the short drop and drop this. So luckily, all they had to do was snap their fingers once, Twice. Who can snap their fingers? Anybody can snap their fingers? And he can snap and you can snap. Oh, that's loud. Ooh, you guys are very, very loud with this. It's a little quieter, okay? A little quieter. Who can snap their fingers the most quietly? Which is kind of a crazy question, of course. But so again, you have audience interaction. It's all related back to this, and I'm telling the story about the three magicians. But it's not the kind of story where I'm locked in. I've got flexibility, okay? So when everybody works together, and I say that is just perfect. And as I say, that is just perfect. That's where I go, and I gather this up at some point when I'm getting ready to drop the three. I've got my loose, I've got my long, and then I just go boom like this and drop the three. I go, that is just perfect. And I show them just like that. I said, which leaves us back where we started. With the short, I hand this to somebody, the medium, and the long. Three of the most powerful magic wands in the world. So that's basically my presentation. And sometimes I go running off on an improv situation, or I run with a line or this or that. Of course, you can adapt it your own way, but that's my core presentation. That's what's worked for me. It used to be more complicated. It used to be more involved, and you know how it is. When you perform something again and again and again, it gets lean. It gets down to a lean fighting machine. You lose this and lose that. I like a presentation, and this is with my close-up magic, my stage, my stand-up, or I should say my stand-up, as well as my kid show stuff. I like a presentation that, and maybe you've heard me say this before on one of my other projects or DVDs, is for me, scripting, when I see too many younger magicians use script, and it becomes a wall between the audience and themselves. Rather than something that helps them connect, it becomes so detailed that the audience becomes listeners. Well, the magician is someone who's presenting, and he's telling this story. He's a presenter, and clearly he's got to get through this story as the coins vanish, or as the dead doves fall out of his sleeves, whatever, right? So I prefer, instead of having a wall of script with my effects, I prefer to have lines of script that are like arrows in my quiver, that I can take them out. You know, the quiver, weird word, I know. That's that long thing that holds the arrows, the tube. I've got arrows in my quiver, so I can take them out and use them effectively. Okay? Boom, boom, take a break from script, over here, talk, 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 and another line, boom, to finish up the effect. So that's my approach for the presentation to the classic Professor's Nightmare, but in this case, involving not one, not two, but three of the world's most powerful magic wands. As much as I love this surprise kicker ending, I want to emphasize right off the top here, do not feel you have to use this, okay? You don't have to use this. The Professor's Nightmare is an awesome trick. I find with the magic. I mean, I used to do it for years just with the white rope, and I always had a lot of fun with it, got a good reaction. It was a real mystery for kids and had a lot of fun. I did find once I started using the black cord and the magic wands in that story, it got a much better reaction than the original in my handling. And it might be because I believed in it more, because I found it more entertaining and more fun for me. You cannot overemphasize the importance of, or the impact of, the more fun you have with your magic, the more fun people will as well. That's adults and kids. Or it might not just be that I was having more fun with it. It might be that now with the wands and the tips and all these things, it's more visual. The story helps support it, makes it just better magic. That may well be the case as well. But all to say, you don't need this kicker ending. The trick is strong enough. But if you want to use this kicker ending, you're going to find that it gets a reaction. That moment when it's revealed the fusion of the three wands, fused into the world's longest magic wand, the most powerful wand of all, that kind of thing. I think you'll find it gets one of the better reactions in your whole kid show. It just works so well. The ropes have been examined, people are comfortable looking at them, and that melting moment is so strong. I really, in a sense, I can't say enough about it. So don't feel you got to use it, but definitely I would try it. Definitely try it. Now, preparing the kicker ending rope. Cut the ends, burn the ends, got the white tape around them. Now, you're going to need two other pieces of tape. These are a little unusual. Did I just knock one down? I did. Right here. You're going to need two pieces of tape here. This is a piece of tape, and you could use it for masking tape or white gauze tape, whatever works for you. And this is just a piece of tape, and I don't know how long is it, 1, 2, about 3 inches long maybe, okay? 3 inches long there. Just normal. And what I've done, though, is you got a 3-inch piece of tape, and then here is a 2.5-inch piece of tape stuck against it. So this is not sticky anywhere. This isn't sticky anywhere along here. This isn't sticky anywhere along here. I've taken the two pieces of tape and faced them in a sense, except for this last half inch. So basically, I've taken a 3.5-inch length of tape, and covered one side of it with a 3-inch length of tape, approximately, leaving the last ½ inch sticky. Okay, so that's sticky. And I've got 2 pieces. And what I do with those is I take them and I'm going to put them around the end, around the tape on the end there, and make sure they are very loose. I want them to be able to. So I take this, and I've used this one a few times, so hopefully it's still got a lot of stick left in it. I'm going to wrap it around the end of this, keep it kind of loose though. Not crazy loose, but kind of loose, maybe there, like that. Put it on there. Then press it, make sure it's really stick. There we go. So you can see that this bigger, clunkier piece of tape easily, first, at a glance, just for a moment, just looks like, especially from 5 feet, just looks like the white tip there. But when I tip this, it slides. It'll wiggle. Not only will it slide down the length of the rope, which is cool, okay? And again, another thing about this nice, soft, supple rope, the suppleness of the rope. I'm saying it like the silence of the lambs. Clarice, Clarice, do you still hear the screaming of the lambs? The suppleness of the lambs. That's a different thing, I guess. So anyway, so that's an oversized, and there's nothing sticky left to catch anywhere, and it'll pass over the end. So I do that with 2 pieces of rope. 2 pieces. I got one. Got another one of these. Put it over the other end here. Again, not too loose, not too tight. Let's do it like that. Definitely want to air in the side of loose, though. There we go. Press that on, and hopefully that'll... Boom. There they are. So you got these 2. Now, let's talk about getting caught up in the meaningless details. Number 1, don't sweat the fact that it's a little bit bigger than the one on the end, please. Nobody cares, okay? This is a fusion of ropes. Number 2, yes, you should have, what is it, 1, 2, I think you should have one more end on here. I mean, even though when you hold it out like this, this, and this, okay? So this is the short piece, this on my right. This is the medium-sized piece, and this would be the longer piece, okay? And the 3 are going to fuse together. You could argue there should be a couple more white pieces, white ends on the involved. I find these 2 work just fine, okay? So don't sweat the small stuff. Now, you're going to switch in this for the 3 ropes, and I do it in a billion different ways. First, what I like to do, and it's not a big deal, you don't have to have it just like this. Show you how casually I do this ending here. What matters is that you had 3 pieces of rope, and they fuse into one long one that can be handed out. That's the trick. As for the particular visuals in there, again, this isn't about your Goshman pinch and making sure it looks perfect from 3 feet, from 16 inches away from somebody in a bar, an adult. This isn't the kind of work this is. This is large, visual, and it's moving forward, and it's fun. More of a circus feel, certainly with my kid show. So, having said all that, my favorite way to switch these is all I do is I take this, okay, and I fold it in half, and I fold it in half, and I try to make sure that as I bundle it up, I keep, rather than these ends all getting, what I don't want is I don't want this image, and I'm not making a joke here. I don't want this image at this point. I don't want all the ends in one spot, okay? What I want is to space out the ends along the rope here, like this, okay? Space them out. Then I lay it down on a table or on the floor, whatever, some flat surface around, and I fold it up and sort of lock in to some degree the ends so that they can't, and so I'm basically like this, okay? Here, I got an end here, I got a bit of white showing here, bit of white showing here. Then I put a rubber band around it and maybe even bundle it up like that, okay? Just like this, just a mess. Then I put a rubber band around that, and that's how I take it to the show. Now, I'll show you a few different ways you can switch this in. One way to do it is I've just finished the trick, okay? If I've just finished it, I'm leaving me with the short, the medium, the long. I gather these all up, like this. And I say, do you want to see another kind of amazing magic wand? And they go, sure. See, but you have to, I'm going to show it to you, have to promise me you never play with it. You never play with this magic wand, because I bet all of you have this kind of magic wand in your house. Right now, maybe somewhere in your house, your parents have it. Who here is going to promise they never play with this magic wand? And I say, well, let me show it to you. And I go into my case. And when I go into my case, all I do, I've got this in my left hand or my right hand. When I reach for the magic wand, I drop this in my case. I come out like this. And I now show them the magic wand. And they see the magic wand is a lighter. I say, there it is. Flick it. I tell you, for thousands of years, people, cave people, and throughout history, they would have thought of this as a magic wand, literally. It's an amazing thing. It's portable fire. Didn't have to, and I talk a bit about that. And the whole time I'm planning a time lapse so that this is in full view here. The ends are showing. Nobody ever looks twice at it suspiciously. I move it around, okay? And the lighter. Now, another magic wand I've used, a magic wand for kids, and it might suit you better because you don't want to maybe show kids even the lighter, is a pencil. I reach in, take out a pencil, and say, there it is, magic wand. And they chuckle and say, no, really. I mean, with this end I can make things appear if I do a drawing, and with this end I can make things vanish, disappear with the eraser. And kids, it's sort of the smart moment in my show. But either way is to have some reason to go into the case, right? And then they give this to somebody, tap, tap, tap like this. And then all I do is I open it up. I can see the two ends I want. And I say, watch, let's try this here. And I stretch it out sort of as flat and as quickly as possible. And what that does is it makes sure that if I do it slowly, these are going to start to slide. I want to put it as quickly as possible so they can get this moment here. And then my favorite moment. I tilt and they get to see the ends come down. I take them right off. Sometimes I give them away as a souvenir. See, that's for you, that's for you. You keep those, they're magic wand tips or whatever you want to say. Let this dangle here. People can see that all the pieces have fused together into the world's most powerful magic wand. So that's one way I do it. Really a bare-handed switch. Going into the case for something, bringing it out. And there's a million things you could do at that point to grab in the case. What matters is that the sense is that the trick's over when you do the short, the medium, and the long, leaving us with the short, the medium, and the long. Thank you so much. And they applaud. It's important they feel the trick is over so their attention can relax. They're not going to burn your hands or think the trick's going on, okay? There's this sense that trick that it's done now. Now I have something else in the case I want to show you. You go down, you pick it up, and all focus is here. You've got the bundles of rope. All focus is here on this other thing in your hand. You've got the ropes bundled up in your hand here, and this is your focus. What matters is the sense that first trick's over, and you plant a time lapse. You want to make sure that there's been 10, 15, 20, 30 seconds since you went anywhere near your case. Okay? That really will sell that these have never left their view. Now notice, you can also, audience interaction is always great with kids. So after I do the switch, I can always have a kid or two or three put all the ropes in their hand and have them bundle them up and hold on to them. Don't let them get away, because you know what? Sometimes those wands, they act like snakes. The snakes will get away, so let's be careful with that. I know, seeing me here, you can see, boy, Jay must be insane. He is the Robin Williams of magic. Insofar as he's dead. No, so, anyway. So I'll have the kids hold them. Another way to do it is a paper bag. There's a lot to be said for a paper bag. First, mystery. I love visual magic, but I also think there's something to be said for having moments and things in your show that are hidden from view and then revealed. Okay, mystery. So, you could go into your case to literally get, I'll switch this out here, we'll soon. You go into your case to literally get the bag, right? So you go in, paper bag, and again, the thing I'd kind of say is this, is I'd have the ropes here, I'd say, let's try something, and I'm going to use something. Has anybody heard of a paper prison? Have you heard of a paper prison? It's a prison made of paper. I know, you're thinking, how? It's not exactly maximum security, but it's going to be perfect for us in this case. And anybody heard of a paper prison? And so I say this evocative phrase, and kids are, well, what do you mean a paper prison? Different images. Then I go in, and I switch my ropes, right? And I come out, I go, here it is, paper prison, and they laugh. It's a paper bag. And so here it is. You guys might call it a paper bag, some of you, but I call it a paper prison. And they laugh or whatever. Now you can take this, having switched it already, you just switched, put it inside here like this. Now you can have a kid. So I want you to hold on to all three wands. Make sure I don't get anywhere near them, okay? And if you feel one of the three wands move around or wiggle like a snake, you let me know, okay? So I say a few times, three wands. If you feel one of them move independently, right? That's the subtext there. So now we've got them locked off, and now I can do another trick or come back to this or whatever. And have you done something and I don't trust you? And you did something, did it? You did it. And I look inside, I go, I knew I couldn't trust Mark. Mark, I knew I couldn't trust you. And everyone knows it's a joke. And so they reach inside there, pull out all three wands, and they reach inside and they find they've only got. Now notice, you could have, notice at this point, I don't even have the white pieces. That's an option too, or when you've done your switch, you can have the white pieces, whatever. So you've done that. Alternatively, let me show you one other idea. I think mystery in magic's important. I think having things concealed and revealed is important. But But I also think there's definitely something for the visual elements. So if at the end of the Professor's Nightmare, I reach, get the paper bag, and say, let's try something. I'm going to put all 3 ropes inside this bag. Okay? And along with this bag, we're also going to use, this bag's maybe a little big. Say, along with this bag, we're also going to use, and I go to my case. And along with this bag, we're also going to use, and when I go down, I bring back up the pencil, or the lighter, or the squirrel's head, throw it up in the air, people go running screaming, because they can say, oh my God, that's a real squirrel's head. What do I do? Of course, I switch for another bag. Another bag that's already set up with maybe with the white fake ends on it as well. So it's as simple as doing this. And say, along with this, we're also going to use this magic wand. Look at this. It is, and they say, well, you call it a pencil, but it really is a magic wand. And it's as if this never left you. Have a kid hold on to that. My one advice for you there is, if you're going to put, and you'll understand this, you would learn this yourself after a bunch of shows performing this, but let me, again, save you some time there. You don't want to go to your case for a bag, you don't want to put items in a bag and then 5 seconds later take them out of the bag. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It's better if there's a bit of a time lapse, and that time lapse will help make sure they can't backtrack to the case. Now, just a thought on backtracking here. Adults will try to figure out a trick in one way. Kids will try to figure out magic in another way, and they both need to be misdirected. Not so the trick remains fooling, but so people can have some fun and get past the whole puzzle thinking. So, an adult will, while a kid will suggest that you did something, you put up your sleeve or they're in your case or something, they'll suggest something in a way that would be totally ludicrous. I mean, even when you never went near your case for the last 20 minutes, a kid might, when you make something, a coin, I mean, I've made a coin vanish and I had a kid say, it's in your case, right? Like, they just go there like kids do. Whereas an adult would never do that. They wouldn't do that. So they both need a slightly different kind of misdirection and presentation so that they can stop trying to figure everything out and sit back and enjoy. And one of the real keys to that, and I'm just going to finish this clip by saying this, is your own confidence. If the performer is confident, you come out and clearly you've done this a few times and you own that room. As soon as you say, hey, how's everybody doing? My name's Jay, I'm a magician, and over the next 23 minutes, I'm going to blow your mind. Or I'm going to start off by turning someone into a frog. Who wants to be a frog? Who's going to be changed into a frog? Now, rather than saying who wants 20 bucks, which they're thinking maybe that's going to work, even young kids, 8, 9, 10, not super young, 4 or 5, but 8, 9, 10, they know you're not going to change anybody into a frog. So it's silly from the start. And for me, it's a great way to kind of blow up and explode the cliche of the magician, what I'm here to do. I'm not here to turn anybody into a frog or blow. But let me start by turning someone into a frog. Who wants to be? What's your name? Oh, it's Celia. Oh, Celia, you're such a pretty young girl. I don't think I'm going to turn you into a frog. But let's see. What's your name? Mark. Well, Mark, you look a little bit grumpy. Are you feeling kind of frog grumpy? Do you want to be changed into a frog? That kind of thing. So, I'll start like that. And there's that whole tone off the start that I own this room. This is my thing. I'm bringing you all in. But if you can exude that kind of confidence, no hesitancy, immediately dive in and get a sense with people and the adults at the back who are, of course, having their drinks and watching with one eye and all that stuff. If you can immediately pull everybody in, acknowledge everybody, that'll go a long, long way towards getting everybody to stop trying to figure out the trick and instead just sit back and have some fun with you as the host of this really fun experience. This is not a complete collection of all the comedy bits I've come up with using these wands. Okay, I'm telling you right now. Because I know if this afternoon I were to go perform at a kid's party and do this effect, there would be 2 or 3 brand new things I would do with it. And I'm not suggesting it's because I'm some sort of genius at the comedy rope bits. It's more about a reflection of my style, how I perform. And, this will come up when I share with you a few more ideas about performing for kids, but kids magic, adult magic, one of the most powerful things you can do, it doesn't matter what kind of performing, is to use the space, is to explore the space, is to use what's in the space. And while a lot of basements of houses where you do kid shows are similar, there's a whole bunch of places I perform magic in, including kid magic, which is all unusual. There's a ceiling fan that's moving so slowly that I'm going to make jokes about that. There is a guy wearing, not a kid, but one of the adults is wearing such a red sweater, he looks like Santa Claus, and it's July 4th weekend. I'm going to comment on that. So there's so many things in the space, and that'll include these. I do different kinds of things with these in all situations, you know. Yeah, all situations. I mean, you know, I'm just, where I went to my head once, I don't know, years ago I did something. I was doing this trick here with the ropes, and there was a really cute woman at the back, and I was sort of playing in the space and this and that, and going around and having fun with people, I was kibitzing with people, so to speak. And I think even with her, I sort of wrapped one of the ropes around her wrist for a second and kind of winked at her, suggesting something lewd. So my point is that there's a real range you can do if you just uncork your brain and let it play. But here are a few, I got a list here of some of the stuff I remember doing over the years. One thing is, I've made a gag before with the long wand. When I've said I've got the world's most powerful wand here, here it is. It's up my pants. And the kids think one thing and the adults think another, and everyone's happy. And I go, no, really, it's up my pants. And I lift up my pant leg, and I show dangling out of my pant leg is the loose end of one of them. What I've done is I've slipped this down my pants, and at one point I even had rubber, like a really thick rubber band. I pulled it up my thigh to hold this up there and tuck this down in my sock. Anyway, and so you have the fun image, though, of extending your foot, lifting your leg here. I got a bare foot here. And have a kid in the front row pull the end. You go very slowly, and he's pulling the rope out. Now, when you make the face that's sort of like this, like, kids are laughing, okay? And the adults, of course, are thinking something else, depending on the length of the wand and all these things. So it works for everybody, okay? So one idea, you can pull it out of your pant leg. I guess like Professor Cheers. Is it Professor Cheers? I think it is a traditional rope trick where it's coming out, so out of your sleeve. And very simply, of course, you can even, if you're wearing a jacket with a breast pocket, you can have, say, the short one inside your breast pocket. When you want to go into this effect, just open your jacket as if you're getting something else. Take this out and put this in the top of your sleeve, inside your jacket, okay? Then take the pen out or whatever, and you can actually use your hands like this, and you still do stuff with your hands while it's resting up in your sleeve. But as soon as you lower your arm down to your side, this comes sliding right into the hand. So I've produced it comedically in a number of ways. One way, of course, is just to sneeze. I go, huh, and it's kids, so really telegraph it. Huh, huh, show this hand empty, hand up here, huh, huh, and then as you sneeze, you let that drop. And I've got huge laughs from kids, because you got the snot thing, you got the sneeze thing, but all of a sudden, oh, it's a magic wand, okay? So you can do it as a snot appearance. You can have it come out of your sleeve, out of your shoe. I did this earlier in this DVD. Again, this is the kind of thing where, you know, I can say I'm also a master of disguise, you know, a master of disguise. Watch, just a wave of my hand, I'm going to turn myself into someone from France with a big mustache. Bonjour, je m'appelle, my name is Prière, and today I'm going to show you some magic tricks. And what, you don't like my mustache? You don't like, this guy does not, you all don't like my mustache. What? You're not very nice. It took me days to grow this mustache. Okay, so sometimes I'll use it as a mustache. Again, a kind of thing kids get a kick out of. With the medium to the longer one, I've taken this and I've said, what's that? Oh, I've got something in my teeth. Yeah, so, okay, whatever. Sorry guys, I've got something in my teeth here. Do this as if I've got a seed, a watermelon seed or something stuck in my tooth, something from lunch. And then I take this out of my pocket and they can see it's a wand, but then I bend it like this and I'm going, and I'm using it like a mirror. Okay, and that gets a nice laugh. In the same way is magnifying glass. I say, you know, has anybody here recently had, like, wiped out on their skateboard or something like that? You have? Oh, you have, I'm sorry. You got any scratches, scars? Or let me take a closer look at that hole, and I got a magnifying glass here. Let me take a look at that. And I'm looking at the hand or the elbow like this, and that gets a nice laugh too. What else do I have? Oh, hypnotizing. I have had so much fun with this. Some kid, I'll do it with a boy more than a girl. Let's say his name is Greg, and I'll go, you know, he's saying a few times, he's interrupting me, and I go, Greg, I have had it. Ladies and gentlemen, official announcement, Greg and I, we're done. Up to here with Greg. Greg, I'm going to have to hypnotize Greg. Who wants me to hypnotize Greg, okay? And so I'm responding to someone, not heckling, but a kid who keeps speaking out a bit. And I'm going to, rather than blocking, I'm going to use that, okay? So I take this out and I hypnotize him. I say, you're getting sleepy. You feeling sleepy? Greg's not feeling sleepy. Okay. How about now? If he's still not feeling sleepy, okay? So I use it as a calming device there, as this is something trying to hypnotize him. Or I'll hypnotize the whole group. I've even done it as an opener. Hey, how you doing? My name's Jay. I'm going to show you some magic, but first I have to hypnotize all of you. There you go, getting sleepy. So you can use it that way too. The mustache. Oh, and you know, just this image. I find kids, it's like the old breakaway wand, but certainly a lot cheaper, is in other tricks. From the very start, you can have somebody use the magic wand and wiggle it more, and they can have a lot of fun, or wiggle it slowly. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, but Kathy, you got to wiggle it until the ends are both moving at the same time. That's better, perfectly done. And coin's still there. Okay, let me try somebody else. So you can use it as a magic wand, obviously, a silly-looking magic wand. Let's see. I think those, yes. Those are a bunch of things. Again, there have been many other things I've used. I've had this up my sleeve here and pretended to... it's up my sleeve, right? Coming down my sleeve if I'm wearing a jacket. My right hand and finger kind of holds it here, and then as my left hand pulls back, and this, again, is all hidden up the sleeve, you get this nice visual look of a magic wand being pulled out your ear. Okay, and that's sort of a variation on the people used to do with the wooden or plastic magic wands up the sleeve, pulling it out there. But the nice thing is with the rope, your arm isn't stiff. You can actually have it there, or you can have it there from the very start, and then have that nice illusion of it coming out your ear too. Definitely the kind of thing, the more you play with it, the more fun you're going to have. And as I mentioned earlier, the more fun you have, the more fun they'll have. Last section on this DVD. I'm sure I've touched on a few of these before, but I have a bunch of suggestions I want to make for you, or make to you, share with you. Say right now that there's no way all these are going to work for everybody, for all kinds of performers. At the end of it, everything, magic performance, it does have scientific and psychological elements, no question, but largely it's an art. And if you're doing it right, and I'm going to say right, I'm going to use that word, or let's say if you're making the most of the opportunity for performing for people, you're going to be doing it in an utterly unique way that nobody else could quite. You could use the same tricks, even the same presentation, but I think at its very best, it's about a personal style. It comes down to your character when you're performing, who you are, how you perform, following your instincts, all that. So, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of tips and suggestions, and I'm confident that they will really be effective and suit a lot of you, but not all of you, because it all comes down to what helps you feel free, what helps you feel comfortable, what helps you feel funny, what helps you feel secure and safe. Because we're all, a lot of performers are brilliant people inside. It's about trying to get to that. And to get to that takes a lot of experience, a lot of know-how, but it also ultimately takes you feeling safe enough, comfortable enough to share and take the risk. Now, I learned a long time ago, the real risk is not taking the risk. That if you don't take any risks, you may as well not even take the stage. You're not going to get anything from it. That the best way to take care of your art, serve yourself, and serve your audience, and in that order I do mean it, is to take the risks. I have sometimes with my students, I have an adage or an idea called think it and say it. Now, particularly with kids, you got to be more careful with that idea. Adults can handle it. If you say something off color, blue, surreal, crazy, troubling, they'll cope. Kids is a whole different implicit responsibility that you've made, a commitment you've made with the parents to perform and share, create an experience for the children that is safe, that is responsible, that doesn't get into things that are too personal, regarding religion, sexuality, drugs, of course, any of that kind of stuff. But hopefully it's something that still has some teeth to it. And this is one of the complaints I have, having seen a bunch of kids show magicians at magic conventions and in other situations, is, to be in such a rush to keep everything so squeaky clean and friendly and unthreatening. They end up with an act that has no corners. Nothing, no teeth, even small ones. And kids love a little bit of that. They love to see you, like adults do. Kids love to see you push a limit a little bit, but not cross over. That's the art, is to go there, but not go over it. If you err on the side of being too lame and square and totally no risks, or you err on the side of the other side, I think those are where you don't want to be. The real power, and where you'll find it most fulfilling for you, is to try to explore stuff, create presentations for people, for kids, that, there's an adage in writing, and it's write about what you know. So I promise you, if you work on presentations that really speak to you, that give you a chance to express even a little bit of your own feelings, your own perspective on the world, some of the things that irk you, some of the things that give you joy. Kids are brilliant. They lack knowledge of the world, but in every other regard, they're geniuses. They're so brave. They're so sensitive. They listen so carefully. They're such brilliant readers of facial expressions, of tone, much more than adults. Kids leave adults in the dirt on so many of these fronts, which makes them ideal audience members. They really are amazing and so responsive. And they can be so generous and so sweet and so kind. In stand-up comedy, I learned that hecklers are seldom born. They're made. The performer makes the heckler more often than not. Sure, you can have a drunk guy who's had a crappy day, he's had too much to drink, and he is looking for any excuse to shout at you. And I've had this happen in comedy clubs and at kid shows. I've dealt with this guy at kid shows too. And what happens is people will sit back and they assume that you're going to deal with it. No matter what comes up, it's the performer's responsibility. Friends, family, no one's going to step in. And again, same thing with kid shows. If there's a kid that's being very, very difficult. Now, and I've said this a bunch of times, my first responsibility is to the group, not to the individual. And I will not let one or two people ruin the show for everybody. That is not what I came to do. So you need to develop ways to deal with that. And one of the best ways to deal with it is yourself. Is how do you start your show? In fact, forget about starting the show. When you climb out of the car, you park the car, you took the subway, you're walking up the lawn, you got your suitcase, and you're going to that gig. Where are you there? Where you are then will dramatically determine the success of your show. What's your attitude like? Are you feeling friendly, receptive, confident? You need to get there, okay? If you can do that, you're not going to have anywhere near the nightmare stories that so many other performers do that come in with a chip on the shoulder or figure the audience owes them something. Or they hate the fact that they said they were going to pay in cash and now it's a check and you're going to hold on to that. That's not the job. The job is to learn how to be free and to share that freedom with the audience in front of you. And kids respond to that so well. So I'm going to run through a bunch of ideas here. They're not going to suit all of you. However, this is hard-earned and hard-won knowledge on my part. Hundreds, thousands of shows, decades of performing. So it's not about a big ego, but just, sort of one performer to another. All I'd say is try these on. Unless you're absolutely sure that something's not, try it on. You might see that it fits you better than you realize, or you might learn a lot just from trying it on and realizing it wasn't a fit for you after all. So as students of performance, try this stuff on, okay? So here's some ideas. First, wear comfortable clothing. Be comfortable. Be comfortable. And a lot of these will apply to all kinds of performance. I used to go to shows, corporate shows, a suit and tie, and over the years I learned, no. That didn't set me free. That didn't make me feel as comfortable as I could be. And kids, again, they're brilliant. They'll pick up on discomfort no matter. So wear comfortable clothing, whatever comfortable clothing is for you. And it might be a suit and a tie. Awesome. Okay, number one. Number two, kids do respond more than adults to a character. In performance, I think of there are two kinds of characters. Lowercase c character. That's me when I'm performing walk-around magic for people. Lowercase c character, it's who I am. I'm friendly, I'm focused, I've got bits of business, and I'm doing magic tricks, and I'm a little bit of a character, lowercase c. But when I perform for kids, I turn it up, and this was the same when I used to do stand-up comedy, is I take something that's real for myself. I don't try to be the scientist magician when I really don't like science. Or I don't try to be the clown magician when, in fact, I think clowns are kind of creepy. I try to be me. My version of funny. My version of confident. But I turn it up. And so and you find this, forget about in the size of rooms, when there's bigger audiences, you have to play it up for sure. That's how to be more powerful and to reach people. That's about communication. That's not about being a great magician. But as for being magic for kids, take something you're comfortable with and turn it up. And there I'm a capital C character. And I'm Jay the Magician, and I'm going to show you some magic. That's what I'm going to do. And I have fun. And I'm having fun, and I'm going to share that with you. You can be any kind of character you want. You could be the zombie magician, which I bet would be huge kid show business right there. Seriously, zombie magician. The Dracula magician, Frankenstein. Kids love that. The skateboard magician, the candy magician. People would love all those things. It's great for marketing. But whatever you are, it has to be real. It has to be something that you have real passion for, or you'll never hit 8s and 9s. You'll always be at 5s and 6s. So I'm hoping some of this advice will get you to 8s and 9s. So how do you feel going into the gig? Fool the parents right away. You're hired to entertain the kids, but the kids look to the parents. And not always just directly looking at them, they sense the parents. If the kids here at the back of the room, the parents go, well, how do you do that? Right off the bat, the kids who are geniuses know this guy's good. So the kids look to the parents to know how to respond to you, at least initially. So if you can fool, make sure you do something right off the gates that entertains the kids and leaves the parents going, what the? Okay? Do that off the top. It'll make it for a much easier show. Souvenirs. Okay, fool the parents. Boom. Souvenirs. Kids love souvenirs. It's also good marketing. Okay? So yes, you can combine something that's part of your business. You know, there's certainly a lot to be said for handing out, flyers that have a magic trick that kids can learn on one side and your name and phone number on the other, or a URL address. Nothing wrong with that. But even something as simple as a deck of cards. Grab an old deck of cards, sign your name on them. J, magic of J. Just sign your name on them, and you can put a rubber band around and throw them in your case. And at the end of your show, either do a card trick. You don't even have to do a card trick. Thanks so much, you guys have been great. Who wants a souvenir? You want a souvenir? And just give out the cards. Your old pack of cards you got at a dollar store even, with horsey design on the back. Just your name on it. Give them something to take away, something to hold on to. The parents will appreciate the value of you bringing souvenirs. The kids love. It's really important to physicalize, to make it something they can hold in their hands. So I learned a long time ago, I try to never do a kids show without having something to give everybody. And, sure, you could bring candies, but there'll be more than ever. Allergy issues, calorie issues, etc., etc. So for me, gone are the days where I'd hand out edibles to kids, even if it's the most innocuous jelly beans. Still, and kids, they can fight over them, and he got more and all that stuff. So give everybody a card, okay? Kind of fun. Let's see here. Opening effects. Start with something visual. Start with something simple. I believe in simple magic tricks for adults or kids. And by simple, I don't mean simple to figure out or simple, unsophisticated, dumb moments. What I mean is effects like the classic tricks of magic. 2 rings, link and unlink. The guy floats. The card ends up stuck on the ceiling. The lady was cut in half. If you're doing a trick for adults or kids that cannot be easily described in a single sentence, I'd suggest you drop it. The matrix stuff, the complicated things, the 4 selected cards, I suggest you drop it or consider. Because what it's doing is it's erring on the side of the magic and not on the fun, not on the personality, not on their personality. I find complicated tricks do not welcome that kind of thing. So for kids particularly, I keep the effects simple, particularly early in my show. I might do something more involved with a couple of phases, a little bit, but that'll be 10, 12, 14 minutes in. I start off with fun, silly stuff, and every single minute I'm performing for kids, I am looking for a reason to ditch my show. I have no problem with that. I ditch the trick and jump in because Oliver just did something very funny. Or Lucy just shared something from us, because kids say crazy stuff. Do a show and Lucy goes, I had a nightmare last night, and there's no way you'll ever catch me saying, oh, really? Things scare me too. One of the things that scares me the most and go into the trick. No, thank you. I'll go, would you mind telling us all about that? We've all had nightmares. And whenever I'm holding, I put down the table and I do this. Sometimes I'll even walk and sit down right with them, which makes them laugh and the adults look over. And when you treat all of a sudden Lucy and her nightmare just as the only things in the world, people find it so interesting for about 20 seconds. Then you got to move on. But I'm looking for any excuse, so listen. Use your ears. Look around. Be aware of what's going on and jump. Use your tricks, your whole magician thing, as a way to free yourself and free everybody to have a time that people will remember for many, many years. Remember that magician? Remember when? Because, people, and this is another adage you've probably heard, if you're doing a show and people afterwards remember your tricks but not really remember you and how cool and funny and interesting you were, then, you're just another magician. Having mentioned funny, do not feel obliged to be the world's funniest performer when performing with kids. Kids respond to a lot of things. I found that kids can really respond to mystery. Do you want to see something? Everybody, very quiet. Quiet. Shh, quiet, okay. If you're thinking of saying something, say it in your head for now, because I'm going to show you something. And I bring the focus in, and I've got something black in a black cloth, and it might take me, I might milk it for 45 seconds unwrapping this damn deck of cards or whatever. But mystery. You do not have to be the funny person. You do not have to be hilarious. Don't sell yourself short. If that's your thing, people like it. There's no question. But there's lots of ways to do this, as long as it's simple and real and you care about it, okay? Your passion's the fuel. Scripting. same goes with scripting. I mentioned earlier, don't get caught up in a detailed script about 3 guys and 4 ducks and do you remember back in the old days, medieval times, don't get too caught up in that stuff. Keep your script loose and flexible. Keep it funny, or if not funny, keep it clear and boom, okay? The advice for sure, the first couple of lines to an effect and the last couple of lines are the most important. They help pace the thing. They let people know the trick's over. They let people know the trick's starting. You can go from something that's been silly to let's try something. This is a bit scary. Who here is really brave? Okay, Brian, you're brave. And Lori, you're pretty brave, aren't you, Lori? You look brave. Okay, if this goes wrong, I'm going to need the 2 of you to rush up and help. But I'm not. Generally, that doesn't have to happen. But I want everyone to be brave. Get your brave heart up, okay? So there's ways to get people engaged. So scripting, keep it simple. Managing high-energy kids. This is one of the biggest challenges of performing for kids, at kids. There will be kids that just finished a can of Coke, and it's just who they are. And boys will do this often more than girls, particularly at ages 8, 9, 10. I find once you get sometimes into 13, 14, 15, it's a real crapshoot. Sometimes girls can be very chatty. They can be quite bossy. It really depends. And I've given this advice on a few different projects and in some of my books, but it reminds me of Patrick Swayze in an old movie called Roadhouse. He's a bouncer, and he's training people how to. His best bit of advice to these other big guys who are going to be working as bouncers at this club is he says, "Be nice, be nice, be nice." And believe me, perform for kids. Whatever you do, be nice. If you're not nice, if you get a bit of a tone, if you get a bit of a scolding attitude, then people feel you're losing control. And believe me, kids of all people will eat you alive. Oh, there'll be blood in the water. You cannot lose control. One of the best ways to suggest you have control is not by shouting and not by threatening indirectly or directly. It's by being cool, looking like everything's cool. So be nice. But what Patrick Swayze then says is be nice until it's time not to be nice. And I've had shows like this, more than one, more than a dozen, where no matter how friendly I'm being and how much attention, the noisy kid needs a bit of attention. Give him a bit of attention, okay? A little bit of attention, but only a little bit. Don't do it in a way like this. Get him up there and give him the thing and let him go crazy. It sends a bad message. Give him a bit of focus. Keep him there. Don't bring a kid up and think you're going to solve the problem. You won't, okay? Leave him there. Deal with him there. Give him some attention. Say some nice things, whatever. I love your sneakers, or hey, how you doing? Or can you spell? You just turn to a kid, say, "Can you spell dog backwards? Can you? Huh? And he goes this, and you go, nicely done. Someone's thinking. You don't have to say you're smart. Someone's thinking, and go on your way. But there are moments when you do a lot of that, and you give them some attention, and it still doesn't work. And in those situations, I've done it all. Over the years, I've done it all. Some of it pretty, some of it not so pretty. I've said to the kid, I've turned. I said, Adam, guy, dude, hold on, Adam, look, I'm here to show everyone a show, okay? So please, do whatever you gotta go. Go to your quiet place, man. I need you. I tell you what. Or I've given a deal before. I've said now, Adam, I will let you help me in 2 tricks from now. You're going to help me. We have a really important job. But for the next 2 things I'm going to show people, for the next 11 minutes and 55,000 seconds, you gotta zip it, okay? Make a deal, okay? And I'm not going to bring them up, but later on I'll have them shuffle the deck or I'll have them do something simple, okay? But you don't want to get too much bargaining, because then it comes across as weak, and as soon as it comes across as weak, you've lost them. But I have had shows that have gone completely off the rails, where I've said, I've warned the kid, I've helped the kid, and he's disturbing the whole show. The whole show. And so I just want to be honest with you guys, I have had situations where I've said, I hate to do this, guys, but look, Sarah, excuse me, is Sarah's mom or dad here? There, okay. Hate to say it, my friend, happens once a year, but unfortunately, if Sarah isn't going to be able to just, better cope here in the situation, I'm going to have to ask you to come in and step in. I apologize, but, and it's a bummer, and it sucks, but it's better than letting the last 11 minutes of your show going totally to hell in a handcart and getting derailed once in a... So if you have to do that, don't feel badly. Your job is not to be the child whisperer, and no matter what a kid throws things or grabs something and runs away that you need, your job is not to always just smile and have a pun ready, okay? You got to know that going into the gig that, this is your job, and maybe a bit of this, but not that. And you need to have that confidence to know that you're going in, and if things get totally out of the control, especially as a learning performer, okay? So don't feel, be nice. Be nice until it's time not to be nice, okay? What else? There's a bunch of other things here. Let's see here. So, yes, do something right off the bat that's going to deceive and baffle the parents for sure, and then forget the parents. Forget them. Forget them, what they're thinking, what they're showing. Ignore them. Focus on those 18 kids. Make them your world. That's what matters. Connect with them. Let them lead. Look at them. When you get a sense that someone's distracted or something, I've even done this where someone seems distracted. I said, hold on, everybody, hold on. Stop, hold on. Everyone, stop. I'm not so sure that Lisa here is paying attention. Let me check in with Lisa. Lisa, sweetheart, are you okay? Do you need something? Because I'm doing this thing. We're all having fun. I would love it if you joined us, honey. So listen and stop and respond. They say the best performance is to respond, not to perform, but to respond. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. Be firm but gentle, in that order. Now, I did say be nice. Be nice until it's time not to be nice. But I also believe in the reverse, is be firm. This is your show. Come out. There's no reason you can't be friendly and firm and strong and own that space. It's one of the biggest keys. If you can walk in there and own that space, those first 30 seconds, boo, own the space. And one of the things I'll do is I'll rearrange the furniture. It's something I do. I walk into a space and, I've got my card table maybe, and there'll be something there, and I'll grab the potted plant and I'll move it here, and then I'll move it here, and then I'll move it over here, and I'll say, hey, how you doing, and I'll move it again, and all the while I'm saying, first I'm killing some time, but all the while I'm saying, this is my space. I'm going to play with it. I own this, okay? And you're going to wait. You guys are going to wait, and you're going to chuckle or whatever until I get this potted plant right where I want. So have that attitude. It's entertaining. It lets people know you're strong, okay? So it's almost a metaphor for what you're bringing to this, is that this is your space. With kids, it's very important to have that sense of power. Sometimes with certain really rowdy bunches, I will say, guys, I don't know how many people have ever seen me see my show. You've seen other magicians, right? Probably. Well, the thing with my show is everybody experiences magic differently. It really does. If I show you a trick, you're going to see it one way. And my show is all about, let's respect the differences between us, okay? Lord knows I'm pretty different. I mean, you can see that right now, right? And again, you always have to balance out your message with a bit of fun, I find. It's the best way to go with kids. And so this is why I've got one rule. Nobody shouts out anything unless I ask you to. Who's excited? Because if you shout out something, whatever it is, it might ruin somebody else's experience of the show, right? And so this is something I'll often come out. I'll do a trick or two, and if we're getting along and it's going smoothly, great. But if it's not going, if the focus isn't quite there, then I'll take a moment and sort of talk about there's no shouting, and I don't know if you've seen me, my kind of show, and this and that. Kids respond well to expectations. And I know this as a parent and as a performer. It's nice to not come across as scolding or controlling like a teacher, but let them know that you have expectations. And there's this idea that we're going to have a lot of fun. Because I find kids respond well to knowing not just the carte blanche, but that you have some expectations and you communicate them in a friendly, playful way. To inspire them to respect you is to respect them. And this is a cliche, but it's true. And again, this should be in your head as you're walking into the room, okay? Show respect for the audience. Show respect for the adults. Respect for the children. Say hi. Introduce yourself. If you do not condescend, the children will be much more happy to work with you and have fun with you. As children, more than any other creatures, know about condescension. They know about controlling, condescension, disciplinary people. They're sick of that. Okay, you have to find another way to do it. And if you show kind respect, I find, if I'm nice and friendly, I feel a lot more entitled to then be a little curt or short with somebody if I need to. And my sense of entitlement, hey, I was already on my game and giving this and this, I feel that helps me feel better. Not guilty, not doubtful, no hesitancy, when I need to be firm with somebody. And that's important too. Of course, involve the children as much as possible. That's a huge key. Give them something to do with their energy. Let them clap, let them whistle, let them snap, everyone stamp. This is not working. I want everyone to get up on your feet, and I want you to stamp your feet, okay? Don't move from your spots, but stamp your feet. Stamp your feet. Did you know that the police, when the police are walking around and it's cold at night and people, this is one of the things they learn is when you stamp your feet, it keeps you warm. So let's all stamp our feet. A little bit of a takeaway, educational moment there. And everyone gets up and they stamp their feet. Get them to jump up. And sometimes I've done this every 3 tricks. Let's say I'm going to do 12, 13 tricks in a show, maybe 11 tricks. Every couple of tricks, so we take 2 minutes, and everyone jumps up and down and this and that. You can make it a little competitive. Who can jump the highest? Good job. How about you? Who can jump? Oh, good job. Okay. Everybody, separate. Hold your arms out and make sure nobody's touching. Everyone's got plenty of space now. Okay, and now let's jump. And I jump too. Just to see an adult jump for them is very funny. Okay, so certainly give them things to do within the tricks. And if it's not working within the tricks, then go outside the tricks. Give them stuff to burn through their batteries. Very important. The adults, of course, give you winks and they're waving and they're thrilled because all adults are thinking of is the kid's going to go to sleep really well tonight. Believe me, that's all they're thinking of. Let's see here. In fact, when talking to birthday party people, I'll often say, one of my key questions is there going to be some soda pop or some candy or something with sugar there? And I say, I tell you, you can serve it before I get there if you want. But just between you and I right now, the show will go much better if you serve it right after my show. It's just the way kids are. Parents respond to that. Someone who's thinking and someone so aware of that stuff. Sleight of hand is largely lost on kids. So this is something you should know as a close-up performer if you plan to then go into kids shows and stuff. They're not, adults respond to the obvious apparent difficulty, the practice, the expertise behind sleight of hand. Kids don't so much, okay? So I don't do a lot of sleight of handy, even though it's nice. The props are portable, then you can do some coins across and do some sleight of handy stuff, cups and balls and stuff. You can do it. It's not bad for teenagers, but for younger kids, I don't do a lot of sleight of hand. Ask questions. I do this a lot in all. Ask them questions. Turn to a kid and say, how many carrots do you eat in most weeks? How many carrots do you eat? Or turn to another kid. Have you ever eaten a turtle in a soup? Ask crazy, crazy questions. You'll get crazy, crazy answers and create situations that are so much fun for everybody. When you go into a space, expect there to be nothing there. Expect there to be nothing there. Okay? There's no sound system. There's no table. There's no adult there to help you with anything. The kids are all over the house. Okay? There's nothing. Assume the worst. I've learned this many times going to kid shows. Bring your table. Bring your props. Bring your bottle of water. They won't have one. Okay? And when you're really hot, third show on a hot week, a July 4th weekend or something, don't expect there to be water for you. Don't expect anything. Nothing. I've learned that one the really, really hard way. Listen to them. Don't just pretend to listen. Listen to kids. The last thing, and this is a classic. I learned this from David Ginn books a bazillion years ago, and it's true. Make the children the stars. Now, you got to be careful, because you can then get it too focused. You can make the birthday girl or boy the star, and everything comes back to them, and other kids start to get jealous and feel neglected, and that can create real problems. But treat each of them like the star. Probably my average show, there's probably 6, 7 obvious stars. Lucy did such a great job, and Bobby was helpful, and Laura at the back, she was really great, and sometimes I'll even say, I'll make one of the kids as the minder of the noisy kids. I'll say, Mark, can you help me with something here? There's a couple of kids whispering here, so what I'd like you to do is if you hear somebody whispering, but don't just make it up, if you hear somebody whispering, raise your hand and let me know. So now the kids know that Mark's watching them, and he has a job too. Okay? But make the kids the stars. Really, I love children. And that's maybe one of the big things. If you don't like kids, if they annoy you, if you don't like people, join the club, you're probably a brilliant performer. I mean, there's lots of people in showbiz who don't like other people so much, one of the reasons. But for kids performing, kids are so smart, and it requires so much energy. If you don't really, really love children, really enjoy and can see each of them as the special, magical, unique world that each child is, if you can't have that kind of relationship with them, then I wouldn't say forget about it, but it's going to limit you. It's going to limit you. So the more you can really appreciate and love the people in your audience, whether they're adults or kids, there's no doubt that's going to come across, they're going to give it back to you, and you're going to be in the perfect situation to really take people somewhere they've never been before and have an experience. It'll be wonderful for everybody, and it'll be great business for you. And yeah, so try to focus on that. Try to do whatever you can. You know, reading a few books on the psychology of kids, the development of kids is not going to hurt you. It's going to help you. Go to a playground. Hang out with kids a bit. Now, you know, obviously you can't just walk up, hey, can I play with your kid? But you sit on the park bench, watch children. Become a bit of a student of kids. And it will dramatically improve how much fun you have and how effective you are as a children's performer.